What's up, witches? It's Luna, and I'm here today to shoot a follow-up on last night's live, and that was the live of May 8th, 2024, if you want to go back and look. We had a really good discussion and topic come up on regarding the creation-destruction cycle, and I was feeling like, maybe what I put out there, it was really intense when it was coming through, and I wasn't sure it was altogether clear. So this clarifies, but also, I'm sorry, I'm fucking with my bun. Oh my God. Hashtag autism. Anyway, this is also an illustration of the conversation that happens between a reader and the tools we use. It's pretty incredible. So Tara made an appearance last night in the discussion, and Tara is a Tibetan Buddhist deity. And I was reading out of my Dancing Tara book from Prema Dasara. I'll put links down below to the things that I'm mentioning here. And so when I got up this morning, I grabbed my Tara deck. And again, I'll put a link down below to the Etsy shop where you can get this deck. You can get this deck, and I just ordered the book for it on Etsy, and I'll link that. So I got up this morning, and it's like, gosh, was I clear about that? Well, let's see what Tara says. And these are the Tara Wisdom cards by Jessica Zebreen Gray, PhD, who is the niece of Prema Dasara. So I'm shuffling, and two cards fly out, and they are Destruction, which just, of course, made me crack up. Then we have the Tara that destroys negativity. So I took these as the basis, and then I filled out, the 6-card thing. But let's talk about these two to begin with. Destruction. And this kind of boils down the message to some clarity that came through this morning as I was reading Pema Chodron regarding this stuff. So what came up last night was our Western habit of looking at creation and destruction as creation good, destruction bad. And that's the way we tend, things that are negative or stuff we judge as good and bad. And this right here is the crux of the biscuit, the actual turning point of the whole Buddhist philosophy is that when, creation and destruction are part of nature. And in nature, these things happen. It's part of the natural cycle. There's the creation part, half of the wheel, and the destruction half of the wheel. If we didn't have the destruction half of the wheel, we wouldn't have fertile earth for things to grow in, right? And I was thinking about how in the autumn, when the leaves start to turn, we don't go, oh no, the leaves are being destroyed. Oh, we go, oh, look how beautiful. And so we do have the experience of really celebrating the destruction side, but that's probably because we don't see it as destruction. But mentally, we're pretty well programmed that destruction means bad, right? And I made the point last night about how destruction in nature doesn't carry any emotional overlay, that when we see, for instance, a hurricane hitting the coast and wiping things out, the hurricane is not angry at the coast. It's a weather system. The planet is following its own rules, universal law, and hurricanes happen and things change. But we see things, the things that are destroyed are things that we look at as permanent, and we want them to stay. And then when they change and they're destroyed, we see that as a bad thing. But the point I was making there is the destructivity in nature carries no emotional overlay. There's no anger, there's no rage, there's no hatred to it, right? So we have the topic of destruction. Then we have one of the 22 Taras, and she is number 8, which can either be an I'm still waiting for the book. I don't remember whether we look at her in the Tara practice as justice or strength. But destroys negativity means that she helps kind of destroy our negative thoughts. And what are those thoughts? Something's wrong here, and the anger that or just the negative storyline that generates emotion. And she also destroys those harmful emotions that come up because of the things that we're thinking, hatred and shame and those kind of feelings. So I filled out the rest, and then I came up with emptiness on this side. And this is one of those things, when you start looking into Buddhism, you pretty much, and as a Westerner, you immediately bump headfirst into the language of Buddhism being filtered through a Western mind, and it is just chock full of opportunity to misunderstand things. So the emptiness here is not, oh, there's just nothing. There's nothing there. It's not a void. What we're talking about is emptiness of meaning. And once again, I'm not talking about meaninglessness. It's meaningless. It's just, It's the lack of applying any meaning to whatever's happening. We accept things at face value. This is what is happening. That's it. And I'm not going to overlay it with some sort of meaning that then generates these kind of destructive thoughts and emotions. So if we can approach the natural destruction that is half of the wheel and look at it at face value and try to stay away from applying our own storylines and meaning and generating emotions around it, that's the first step. Then we got to completion and another one of the core, or the 22 Taras. And I will tell you that she is green Tara that I talked about in the live is the root Tara. So she's the number 0. She's the Fool. And then there are 21 emanations of her that have different aspects to them. Ferocious Compassion was the one I was talking about last night. And so, gosh, a root Tara and 21 emanations, what does that remind you of? Anyway, we have completion and we have the remover of sorrows. So our job here is when we are confronted with destruction in nature, and we are, we have that knee-jerk reaction to go into seeing things as tragedy and, destruction is bad and oh no. And, it may be that destruction brings with it some sort of loss that we then have to grieve, but that's what we do coming down here. We have to grieve and let whatever emotions come up around this destruction, we have to understand that those emotions are ours and they come from us applying meaning to that destruction. It means I've lost this thing. And so it's our job then to process that emotional energy, because when that energy arises, it doesn't just go away. We have to process it. And that brings it to completion. So remover of sorrows here talks about how do we move through these sorrows or move past these sorrows. We feel them. We feel them, but again, look, she's connected to emptiness here. We feel them without adding more meaning to them that's going to then generate more negative thought and more negative emotion. And then at the bottom, I pulled out suffering, and it's like, yeah, this whole thing really talks to us about suffering. This is the nature of suffering. When something intense happens, like destruction, and I'm talking about natural destruction here. We're into a whole nother territory when we see man, destruction that is caused by man, or the behaviors of humanity, particularly when it's destruction that is deliberately being caused. We're into a whole different thing. We're talking about nature here and the whole wheel and the process of creation and destruction, so that we can try to remove some of our suffering around it by learning how not to apply meaning to these natural processes. So then I thought, well, I'll take one more card here to just see, and I get creativity. So here's the whole thing: destruction, creation, and that whole wheel, that understanding that in order for creation to happen, creation arises out of the seeds and the remnants of destruction that occurred before. And it is a wheel, and it turns, and there's no getting off it. You can't go, okay, destruction and then creation, and we're just going to take creation and keep going in that direction. No, the wheel turns, no avoiding it. The seasons change, no avoiding them. And I will bring up a wonderful quote from Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who was the creator of Shambhala, the center in Colorado, and who was the teacher of Pema Chodron, one of my wonderful, wonderful mentors. I've never met her personally, just through her books and stuff. And he used to say there's no cure for hot and cold. So when we have, things happening in nature and it's like destroying our plans and we're like, developing all these emotions around it and negativity and everything, it's like, why do we want to spend that kind of energy and generate that kind of energy around something that is just a natural process that we cannot change? Hot and cold weather, we don't have any control over that. So it makes no sense to generate suffering around these natural processes over which we have no control and that really are in their proper place on the wheel. So remembering that creativity is the other part. After we go through the phase of destruction, the creation cycle starts. So I just wanted to get on and share this because you can see the conversation. We talked about this last night. It was still on my mind this morning, and Tara responded. And just another reminder of how very, very powerful she is. So if you want to do some research, again, I'll drop a link below to Tara Datu and to the shop there, so you can possibly get some of these resources for yourself. This is the book by Prema Dasara. This is really an instruction manual on the whole dance practice and the mandala, but there's certainly a lot of Dharma in here too, just basic teachings on the whole Tara practice. So I hope you got something from that. Boy, I sure did. I'm so glad I made it to live last night because it has really shifted the doldrums that I've been in. So hope it's the same for you. Let me come here let me bigger myself so that I can say I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Let's engage down below. Let me know what you think. I'll see you later. Till then, this is Luna. Blessed be.